Riley Smith leading off in front of Erin Koffel. Smith starts the game by showing butt, taking ball one. And at 12:02, we are underway from Gainesville. Riley Smith, a walk, and one of the 3 Kentucky runs scored in the series, otherwise 0 for 5 as she lays down a bunt foul.
And what you're going to see from Keegan Rothrock in the circle is that she's going to throw with good velocity, 68 to 70 miles an hour. But what makes her even trickier to go up against is not just the velocity that she throws with, but her ability to throw at 3 different speeds. Her curveball and fastball will be the fastest pitches that she throws. A little confusion with Riley Smith there, talking to the home plate umpire. But it's her rise ball that has been very effective this season. It's kind of the in-between speed.
This is a chopper that will hook foul for strike 2.
And then she'll also mix in a changeup. So her ability to throw it up to 70 miles an hour and have a great rise ball at that middle speed that gets a lot of swing and misses, and then be able to throw 3 different speeds makes her very tough to go up against, even when she's getting the ball as a starter in Game 1 and Game 3 in SEC Series as a freshman.
Struck out Riley Smith on a rise ball to open the series, and Smith will foul one away here. The Kentucky Wildcats 20-10, 0-5 in SEC play. This is a perennially ranked team under Rachel Lawson, perennially a regional team. And Rachel Lawson, the winningest coach in the history of Kentucky, has never seen her team start 0-6 in league play. Last time Kentucky did that was 2006, the year before Rachel Lawson took over in Lexington. Another 1-2 from Rothrock. Another foul ball from Riley Smith.
It's a good sign right out of the gate to see some contact with that rise ball up in the zone from the Kentucky hitters early. In Game 1, a lot of swings and misses. I believe she had 4 in the first inning alone, 5 foul balls in this at bat by Riley Smith. Make it 6.
There's the 6th. Riley Smith has moved into the leadoff spot the last couple of weeks. Erin Koffel was hitting leadoff for the first few weekends of the year. Rachel Lawson wanted to get somebody on base in front of Koffel. Smith's done a great job of doing that. This one is put in play finally, right at Leah Williams at second. 8 pitches, 1 out to start the game for Keegan Rothrock.
Batting second, shortstop, number 21, Erin Koffel.
Kentucky has relied on Erin Koffel all season, and Florida has pitched very carefully to her, as they typically do. This series, Koffel has reached base half the time. A walk, hit by 2 pitches, but she does not have a hit. And that's more of the same from what she's seen in her career against Florida pitching. Koffel is 4 for 20 all time against Florida. 10 walks, 1 strikeout, and all these home runs and all these RBIs. Very little production against the Gators. Only 1 of those home runs have come against Florida. 65 in her career. A Kentucky record. That pitch hit on the hands and fouled away.
And it's always impressed me about her RBI production and the amount of home runs that she hit even as a freshman, and her consistency even with the target on her back since her freshman year to still put up those home run and RBI numbers.
Koffel, they've just gotten grazed by that pitch. 72 miles per hour. She certainly didn't hesitate. And Erin Koffel is hit by a pitch for the 11th time this year.
Number 7.
I worked this rise ball up and in on her hands, and don't have to attempt to get out of the way if the ball is 100% in the batter's box, and she definitely did not attempt to get out of the way. Didn't look like to me. Take it for the team.
Stepped a few millimeters forward, perhaps, and Koffel finds her way on base. So runner aboard for Allie Hutchins, who has an RBI single each of the first 2 games. Rothrock again working with Jocelyn Erickson, who's a terrific pitch framer for Florida. Sophomore catcher, first year with the Gators, freshman pitcher. And nice soft catch by Erickson there on an off-speed strike 2 near the knees.
Erickson has worked so well with these freshman pitchers this year. Just a sophomore herself, but a great battery mate.
Up ball hit well down the line, but foul by Hutchins.
And I think you're going to see Rothrock in this game try to give a different look than what she gave in game 1, of course. And you're seeing that Kentucky is handling her rise ball already in this game pretty well. Any pitch that's up in the zone, they're fouling it off, making good contact, like that foul ball by Hutchins. Rothrock actually shook off to get to this pitch. Let's see what she throws. Yeah, wanting to go more down.
Well, Hutchins has been the only run producer for Kentucky this series. 2 RBI singles. They scored a run on a throwing error. Rest of the team 4 for 33. She had the only hit yesterday, Allie Hutchins. And a ground ball here took an odd spin off the bat. Wallace's throw is a little bit off the mark at first, but Ava Brown comes off the base to slap the tag on Allie Hutchins.
This happened so many times in game 1, Kevin, where we saw that Rothrock put so much spin on these pitches that off the bat, they take crazy hops. That looked like it was going right to Rothrock back in the circle, and then it takes this right angle away from her, but crazy spin off the bat. It makes it trickier for these defenders to stay down on balls and read the hops.
Makes it even more impressive then that Florida has the best fielding percentage in the country. Peyton Plotz with another foul ball. Kentucky has not swung and missed in this inning. They fouled away 10 pitches, put 2 in play. Very aggressive against Rothrock, who misses outside. Peyton Plotz has started all 3 games in this series. Kentucky is without one of their regular outfielders, Taylor Ebbs. So Ebbs get hurt sliding back into a base a couple of weekends ago against Ohio State. Shoulder injury. Hoping she'll be back next weekend, but she has missed this series. So Plotz back in the cleanup spot. And there's the first swing and miss for Rothrock. Ending hold in the 3rd inning. Gave up 6 runs in the 3rd. 7 total over 2 in the 3rd. And she'll start with a strike to Kendra Falby. So Amanda, what does Jaden Vickers need to change 2 days after getting knocked out in the 3rd inning?
I'd like to see her change speeds a little bit more than in her first outing and just continue to throw strikes. When she was throwing strikes and got swings and misses on the lefty-lefty matchup with her curveball like that, that's when she was her best. Looked really good in the 1st and 2nd innings. She throws with good velocity in the upper 60s.
2 strikes on Falby on the ground right side. The second baseman, Margaret Tobias, throws out Florida's hits leader, Kendra Falby. Jaden Vickers, a transfer from Rutgers, 4 years there. Ace of the Scarlet Knights last season and closing her college career at Kentucky. The defending SEC Player of the Year next into the box. Skylar Wallace has had another active series. 2 hits, a walk, hit by a pitch, 4 runs scored for Wallace. Came into the weekend 2nd in the country in on-base percentage behind only Shea Govan of Baylor. Came into the weekend 3rd in the country in steals with 20, 5th in the country in slugging percentage. The on-base, by the way, 626.
And what is even more impressive is, she works it to a 3-0 count now, but even when she hits with 2 strikes, those numbers don't fall off. Her OPS stays pretty much exactly the same. Her batting average stays pretty much exactly the same with 2 strikes. She has such a good eye in that high on base percentage because she's just so picky and really challenges the pitchers to come to her more on the plate. Always has a game plan and walks in 4 pitches there.
It's her 24th walk of the season. Add the 9 times being hit by a pitch. 33 free passes to 6 strikeouts for Skylar Wallace. So she is aboard for Corby Otis, who has seen a ton of pitches this series, and Wallace will quickly jet down to second. Add to her team leading stolen base total. She's 21 out of 22. A little bit of a change in the equation today for Tim Walton. He moved Otis up to the 3 spot, Erickson down to the 4. Corby had 3 run-scoring hits, 4 RBIs on Friday, and then yesterday was 0 for 1, but walked twice and was hit by a pitch. So she has reached base 6 out of 7 times in this series. And Ella Emmert is going to go out and chat with Jaden Vickers, who has just thrown 7 consecutive balls.
Florida is so tough to go up against. I mean, they just have such great plate discipline. They don't, or I should say, they rarely chase out of the strike zone. They know exactly what they're looking for, and they challenge a pitcher to bring it on the plate.
Wallace going to go ahead and take third here on ball. He is worthy of being ranked, and they have been completely overmatched here. So 8 straight balls, and there's a strike thrown by Vickers, and Florida's going to go ahead and get another base. Otis takes second with the threat of Wallace coming home. Emmert did not throw through to second. Florida has 3 stolen bases in the inning. In fact, it's 3 steals in the last 5 pitches before that one. Now 6 steals, 6 home runs in the series for Florida. And the outside corner pelted there by Vickers. 1 and 2 for Erickson. He's gone 2 for 5. An RBI double and 2 walks this weekend. Very highly touted recruit. A wild one from Vickers there. Grabbed out of the sky by Emmert.
So tough as a catcher when a pitch is coming 67, 68, and it comes at that height to get up out of your squat and catch it.
Erickson slashes one the other way for a base hit. Smith with a bobble. Otis was going to stop at third. She'll score instead behind Wallace, and 2 come in on the opposite field single from Jocelyn Erickson.
And Jocelyn Erickson yesterday was so good on the outer half. She got a hit off of a pitch that was about a ball off the plate, and she just does it good. Again, such great plate coverage on the outer half. And then continuing to talk about Kentucky just being a little bit off. You see the bobble out in left field. That leads to an additional run for Florida to score. And Kentucky just seems like they're a step behind, and Florida a step ahead.
The official ruling is a 2-run single. It looked like Otis was slowing down a little bit going to third. And then Smith bobbled the ball, but no error has been charged by the scorekeeper. So 2 RBIs on the play for Erickson. The Gators are on the board first. They've scored in the first inning in every game of this series. And 2-0 on Katie Kistler now. 4th of 4 lefties in the top 5 spots in the order. And Kistler is in a 3-0 count.
And we've seen Florida's hitters do it in a lot of different counts, too. Whenever they're in hitters counts, 2-1, 2-0 counts, they're really aggressive, looking for a mistake. but also been great with 2 strikes, too. This is a team that's very comfortable hitting in all counts, and I feel like they feed off of Skylar Wallace from that. She's always been a hitter that has thrived with 2 strikes, doesn't get nervous, doesn't get down with 2 strikes like you see some hitters across the country. A lot of confidence, no matter what the count is.
We just saw Stephanie Schoonover in the bullpen. She started yesterday and was hit hard. All 4 of Kentucky's pitchers have thrown in this series, and none have been terribly effective. 3-2 from Vickers. And with Erickson on the run to second, Kistler walks, and Erickson can jog down on Florida's 3rd walk of the inning.
Batting 6th, third baseman number 15, Reagan Walsh.
And you wondered if Sydney Langdon might get the start today, Amanda, but the only time we saw her, she did not get an out, allowed all 5 batters to reach in the 3rd. I mean, there has not been a great answer for Rachel Lawson in this series.
Alexia LaContaina has thrown in both games, and I would say has pitched the best out of any Kentucky pitcher that we've seen this weekend. And I think maybe that's because she throws a little bit more down than the other 3 pitchers that we've seen. A rise ball. Florida handles up in the zone very well coming into the series. When you looked at how different teams handle a rise ball out of all Division I teams, the slugging percentage for Florida against the rise ball was 7th in the country. Handle up in the zone well.
Walsh with a pop-up into foul ground, and this is caught by the first baseman, Barzilari. Nicely tracked down by Lauren Barzilari, and Erickson alertly takes an extra base on the play, but Vickers will trade that for the 2nd out.
This is an out that absolutely had to be made for Kentucky to try to get out of this inning, only having given up 2 runs.
Up and in, got her. She gets drilled. Bailey Goddard, the designated player in her first start of the series, is hit by a pitch.
Oftentimes when you see that rise ball up and in, it hits her elbow guard, but unfortunately for
Only 2 runs allowed. She'll face Ava Brown. And Brown will take a strike. So a typical weekend for Brown. In the circle yesterday, 6 innings, 1 hit, 1 run. Got the complete game win. Done some damage at the plate, a bases loaded walk yesterday, a double on Friday. Already one of the best 2-way players in the sport. The first year. Brown with a fly ball golfed into right field, and that will do it for the Florida threat in the first. First inning for Florida. The Gators looking for a sweep of Kentucky. They've won the first 2 games 10-2 and 9-1 in 4.5 innings. And then in 6 innings, Florida has not won a full SEC series by run rule. 3-game sweep, 3 run rule wins since 2015 against South Carolina. The Gators have run ruled these 2, and they've run ruled almost every one of their wins. You see, it was April 3rd and 4th, 9 years ago, when Florida last turned the trick. Up and in from Keegan Rothrock. That's another hit by a pitch. That one, or was it? Lauren Barzilari is saying it did hit her. And a plate umpire, Chris Neighbors, may be calling her back here. Rachel Lawson's out to argue.
Yeah, it did look like it hit her, and I think Rachel Lawson asking for the umpires to come together. You've seen coaches do this a lot this year before they decide to challenge. They want the umpires to get together.
Should know Grace Lorsing, the batter, who was just hit by that pitch. Here's Chris Neighbors. Uh-oh.
Kentucky's challenges are ruling the field. Play is under further review.
I feel for the closed captioning folks that had to write that one down. Ruling on the field is a indecipherable gibberish.
You know, it was a great note, too, by Chris Scholes at Kentucky SID, because he puts in there how many times that Rachel Lawson has challenged plays this year, and she has a really good rate. She is 4 for 5 on her challenges. We'll add another one to it. Doesn't challenge very often, but it seems like when she does challenge, Rachel Lawson is on top of it and gets a overturn.
She's like the Dos Equis woman of college softball. I don't always challenge plays, but when I do. Laura Singh
no
hit for
idea
the
what
5th
that
time
means,
this
but
year.
it's funny.
The Dos Equis commercials, you don't remember those? The most interesting man in the world?
No.
Do you really not know that? Here's a bunt laid down by Borzilleri. She's out at first. How do you not know the Dos Equis guy?
I don't know.
Do you watch TV? All right, let's move on. They must not advertise those during softball games.
All right, last time, I promise.
Oh, man.
So Borzilleri with a bunt single on Friday and a sacrifice bunt today. That moves Lorsing to second. To bring up Delaney Sullivan, who's only making her 2nd start of the year, and we'll see if she even gets a chance to hit. Rachel Lawson is already going to the lineup card.
Attention fans, pinch hitting for the Kentucky Wildcats is number 2, Carissa Hamilton.
Well, there's your answer. It will be Carissa Hamilton to pinch hit. Now, you'll see Sullivan re-enter the game, but you look at the numbers for Hamilton and Rachel Lawson. Senses you may not get many opportunities against Rothrock, so she sends up a pinch hitter here in the 2nd. Hamilton's hit for great power this season. 12 of her 24 hits for extra bases. She was 0 for 4 in the first 2 games of this series.
You know, watching where Jocelyn Erickson, the catcher for Florida, is setting up for some of these pitches, Rothrock is having some pretty big misses. Even that hit by pitch to Grace Lorsung, Jocelyn Erickson was setting up on the outside corner, and that pitch went all the way up and in to the elbow of the right-handed hitting Grace Lorsung. So Rothrock seemingly trying to find her command here early in this game.
What does
See
the
that?
location of her misses tell you? Is that one way out of the glove?
Timing can be a little bit off. That was another pitch that was supposed to be on the outside corner, and Erickson has to reach across her body low and inside to catch that one. Not easy to catch at all right now for Jocelyn Erickson with this lack of command.
4 straight out of the zone. The pinch hitter Hamilton walks. A hit batter, a walk, and Kentucky has 2 on with 1 out. And Rachel Lawson's going to send a pinch runner out to second base now for Lorsung. Pinch runner is Emery Donaldson, who's appearing for the 24th time in 31 games. She is their primary pinch runner, and Donaldson takes over at second for Lorsung. So the pinch runner gave Rothrock a little bit of a breather. And now another player off the bench. This is Vanessa Nesby pinch hitting in the spot of the catcher, Ella Emmert.
Look at Rachel Lawson just really using her entire roster already in these first 2 innings. Great frame job right there by Jocelyn Erickson to get that outside corner called. And when you look at the numbers in terms of defensive runs saved and framing abilities, I mean, she's been the best of the best back behind the plate this year when it comes to any catching statistic.
On an 0-2, that one's too far for Erickson to frame.
Over 4,000 Division I softball defenders. Jocelyn Erickson is the best in terms of defensive runs saved.
It's a metric that puts framing and fielding and throwing out base runners together. What it means is that Erickson, compared to the average catcher, has kept nearly 8 runs off the board. And while it's an imprecise metric, it's one that's taken hold in baseball the last several years. It's made its way to college baseball and college softball. Erickson's thrown out 10 of 11 attempted base stealers. That's going to get your defensive run save number up. Nesby, 2-strike swing again. Another foul ball.
Well, and the runner that she threw out on Friday, it was not an easy pitch to handle whatsoever as a left-handed catcher, with where she received that ball and still threw the runner out at second base. And pretty handily. Wasn't really a question. That throw was on the money. Tag was on the money. Just been nails back behind the plate for this young pitching staff.
It's Donaldson, who's a pinch runner at second right now. Hamilton behind her at first. And Nesby with a chopper to short. Wallace will look at the runner at second, and the throw is, let's see, it is ruled in time at second base on Hamilton. A very close play there, but the out called by Anthony Small, and that makes it a 2-on, 2-out situation.
And close to being a really unique double play when Skylar Wallace tried to tag Donaldson, or looked to tag her there, and then quickly to Mia Williams covering second. That was about as close as it gets there at the force at 2.
Coaches do have 2 challenges, and then umpires can initiate reviews in the 6th. So Rachel Lawson could have challenged that one, but you get it wrong, you'd be out of challenges. Let's take one more look at the play at second. That's a little bit grainy, but she might have been in there. It is very close. And here's a 2-out bunt laid down by Tobias. And Tobias is out at first.
I knew you were saving that one because you're going opposite. You're going more up the list instead of down the list. So, and Trisha Ford in her second season. I remember she came over to Texas A&M last season and got them into the top 25. And now they're kind of knocking on the door of the top 10 with how they've played this year. 7-1, playing Auburn this weekend at home.
Mia Williams batting. If you are a softball fan, if you're really in deep, if you're a Twitter or Reddit softball person, you followed the Texas A&M coaching search with great interest a couple of years ago, whose private planes were coming to College Station because of the resources behind that program. You know it well, the amazing facilities they have in Davis Diamond. Trisha Ford may not have been at the top of the list for A&M coach for some people. She seems like absolutely the right choice right now as Williams smashes this one inside the bag at third and fair. Mia Williams, a freshman, is having her breakout series here at the end of March. Home runs in the first 2 games and a ringing double here.
It's been top to bottom for the Florida offense this weekend. I mean, that pitch is up in the zone, hit a little bit more off the end of her bat, but just places it perfectly, whether she meant to or not, down the third base line for extra bases. Mia Williams has been on fire this weekend.
Mia Williams hitting at just 196, 9 for 46 on the year, now 10 for 47. She was 7 out of 43 coming in. Part of this great freshman class for Florida. And she has hit some absolute screamers. Now, time is called. Heather Falby's going to go talk to Tim Walton on a 1-1 count.
Actually talked to Francesca Anea before the game this morning about Mia Williams, and asking her the turnaround with Mia Williams. What's it been up to? And she said she's setting new goals for success and also letting the ball get deeper. Just had a mentality shift as well. There's Francesca Nea, first season assistant coach with Florida, 3-time All-American at Florida Big Get for their coaching staff, and kind of was a shock to see her leave her regular real job and become a college coach at her alma mater. But seen that across the country in several different instances, and I've seen her back in that Gator uniform. Or
Regular
Gator colors,
real
I should
job?
say.
So this is not a real job?
Well, you know what
we
I
do here?
mean, outside of softball job.
One of a couple of our former colleagues who made the jump into the SEC coaching ranks this year, Caleb Rowe at Alabama as well. We miss them both. We're very happy for them both. And their teams faced off against each other a couple of weekends ago. Florida took 2 of 3 in Tuscaloosa. 3-2 now. Falby, left side, out of play.
Yeah, and I think making immediate impacts in both their programs, both Kayla at Alabama and Francesca here at Florida, just bring that competitive spirit, that will to win, that knowledge about the program, and just leading your alma mater colors. I mean, it's just so different to have somebody who played at the school be a part of your coaching staff and get to give back to the younger players.
Falby keeps this one fair. It's off the glove of Smith with a lunging attempt. And Falby hustles into second base. Her second double and 4th hit of the weekend.
Andrew Falby just hoping that ball gets down, doesn't hesitate to get herself to second base. So much speed, and the 12th extra base hit of this series for Florida.
Second and third, nobody out. All one to Skylar Wallace. 12 extra base hits, 11 singles. And here's Wallace, who's liable to put a charge into any pitch he sees. Right side, and her first strike she sees in the game is fouled away into the Kentucky dugout.
Not often that you see her swing at the first strike that she sees in an at-bat, too. Usually very patient, and just in terms of even first pitch swings, only swings at a first pitch and an at-bat 7% of the time. The D1 average is 31%, so significantly lower. Lots of patience from Wallace.
It's fouled away again over the Kentucky bullpen.
And only swings at the first strike and an at-bat, Kevin. She 20% of the time. So she takes the first strike, not first pitch, first strike and an at-bat 80% of the time. That's almost double the D1 average.
Spoils a 2-strike pitch from Jaden Vickers here. I mean, what do you throw her? You throw her the rise ball, she can hit it out of the park. Drop ball is the one pitch that's done decent damage, still has a couple of extra base hits. The curve, the screw, and particularly the changeup she has massacred this year.
And Kentucky seemed to have some success with her yesterday, throwing her hard in. Saw them get her out a couple of times, just going really hard in off the plate. And I think the other thing they try to do is try to keep the ball low, like Vickers just did with that last pitch.
Bounce to the right side from Wallace. She is out at first base on the throw from Tobias, but she does bring in the third Gator run. Wow. So, a quick review goes the way of the Gators. And up that 667 average with runners in scoring position a little higher for Skylar Wallace. Infield sinks.
Mask on there before she decided to pitch that first pitch. Really rely on her arm side. So a screwball and a rise ball in that red area is where she likes to go to the most, up and into right-handed hitters. Just like that.
And gets a pop-up foul from Otis that is out of play.
And when she's working her best, she's getting a lot of swing and misses on her rise ball, on her screwball. Saw her have really great start to the season last year, one of the best pitchers in the SEC, and then unfortunately got an injury about midway through SEC play and had to be out for 5 or 6 weeks in a cast, and then came back at the end of last season. You saw the type of pitcher that Stephanie Schoonover can be in the circle, All-American-like.
Down and in, Wallace takes second. First and third for Florida. You just go ahead and give Skylar Wallace the base. It's her 3rd steal of the game and Florida's 4th. Florida has stolen more bases than they have made outs on offense right now.
You don't see that every game.
Don't see that any game usually. Just inside to Otis. That ties the career high for Wallace, 3 steals. And again, Florida has made 3 outs as a team. Otis out of play.
You know, I really thought that they flipped a switch after the Alabama game. They got shut out in Game 3 of the Alabama series in Tuscaloosa. Got that win in Game 1 and Game 2, and then got shut out on Monday night. And since then, they're hitting over 400, scoring almost 10 runs a game, and a lot of extra base hits with the 15 home runs in there.
Around 5 a game. Up and into Otis, and she is hit by a pitch. So the second Gator to be hit, the 4th player to be hit in the game, and the bases are juiced with nobody out.
Look like she's starting her swing. Her hands are kind of moving into that take, and that ball is moving into her hands. Base is loaded for the Gators with nobody out.
Strike 1 to Jocelyn Erickson. Florida has been hit by 39 pitches in 33 games. They have hit 13, so the Gators are plus 26 in the hit batter department. Strike 2 for Erickson. Drove in the first 2 runs of the game with an opposite field single in the first inning. Where you try to finish her off here if you're Schoonover?
Try to go back. Actually, I was going to say low and away, but then I just had these images of Erickson handling that pitch. I'd go low and in.
Low and away, she handled the pitch again. That's twice in the game that Erickson's knocked one to the opposite field. It is 4-0 Florida, and Jocelyn Erickson has drove in 3.
That's why I wanted to say there, but then I thought about how well Erickson has handled outside at the knees, even when it is about a ball or 2 off the plate. That is not a bad pitch location at all whatsoever, and she's still able to go down and get it. Both of her hits in this game have come with 2 strikes. Florida has been so tough with 2 strikes, so difficult to put away.
4 ribbies in the series now for Jocelyn Erickson. And the base is still loaded for Katie Kistler, who's in a 2-0 count.
Well, and we talked about this on Friday, Kevin. I think that a lot of people, and this is not myself included, but a lot of people that I talked to had questions about Florida's offense and just the overall strength of it against better competition. Their non-conference strength of schedule is in the triple digits. It's not very high at all. So they're scoring a lot of runs against the non-Power 5 teams that they were playing earlier in the year, it seems. So people kind of had a knock on Florida's offense that they weren't able to put up those runs against ranked teams, against SEC teams. And I feel like they've answered those questions for sure this weekend and the past couple weekends.
That one squirts away from the catcher, Hamilton, and Wallace, always alert on the base paths, takes home. It's 5-0 Florida on a wild pitch from Schoonover.
It's not every day a pitch goes outside and then bounces a complete opposite way behind the catcher.
Well, Katie Kistler's thinking, did you have to drop that? You took away my RBI. Would have been a bases loaded walk. Instead, it is a walk to load the bases. Her second of the game. Florida's fourth. And I wonder what is going through the mind of Rachel Lawson right now. He's tried everything. All four pitchers seen the field. And here's Reagan Walsh with the bases loaded, which we have seen just a couple of days ago. Team leading 12 home runs, 39 RBIs, was tied with Erickson for the team lead coming in. And down she goes. Stephanie Schoonover with some heat at the knees. And finally, Kentucky has an out in the second.
Good pitch location with her curveball going opposite of her scouting report. Likes to go up and in to right-handed hitters. She goes low and away for the strikeout. Big out there for Schoonover.
Eighth batter of the inning is Bailey Goddard to take ball one. Goddard's third plate appearance of the series. And the last one, she was hit by a pitch. The first one yesterday, she ended the game on this 3-2 from Alexia Lacatena.
That pitch low and in, and she just drops her barrel to get down to it. Again, back-to-back run rules for the Gators against Kentucky this weekend.
That made it 9-1. And Florida is perhaps on its way to run rule land again. Already up by 5. Otis, Erickson, Kistler the runners. Bailey Goddard with a big cut. Schoonover curves one off the plate for strike 2.
You got to stick with that pitch if you're Schoonover. Had some swing and misses from Walsh, and now Goddard on that pitch.
Right there again, and strike 3 looking.
Went right back to the curveball, almost an identical location that she got Walsh to swing and miss for the strikeout, the AB before. And if it's not broke, don't fix it. Continue to go to that pitch against these right-handed hitters.
Ava Brown's the 9th batter of the inning. 3 runs have scored. Schoonover trying to hold it there. 2 bases loaded strikeouts. The freshman Brown sucks one out of play.
And she's had a lot of comparisons to Lauren Hager, who of course was a Gator great pitcher, hitter, hit for a lot of power. In fact, both these freshmen, Keegan Rothrock and Ava Brown, are pitchers who can hit for themselves. Not seeing Rothrock hit for herself this year, but Coach Walton intends to have that happen in the future. But Ava Brown got to meet Lauren Hager last December, and for the first time too. I mean, to me, that's just so cool when a former player like that gets to meet a younger player and step into her shoes. A lot of comparisons, like I said, from Ava Brown compared to Lauren Hager.
Former Gator great, maybe a future Gator great right now. Brown fouls one away, the 45th pitch of the inning.
I just love this picture because this is the first time that they got to meet in December at, actually I was there too. I think I might have even taken this picture, to be honest, but seeing Lauren Hager and Ava Brown meet, you just get to talk for a couple of days about Florida, about life. And I think that this freshman,
you might have taken the picture?
I think I might have,
You
but I
think?
can't be. There's a lot going on that week with my pitching event, okay? They're both working it, so I can't be 100% sure, but really cool to see them interact for a few days. And get to connect.
Another 2-2. That curveball is off the plate. Brown follows it well. 3-2 with 2 out and the bases loaded. Otis, Erickson, and Kistler can all get a flying start. And Brown blasts one into center field, and it is caught by Bucky. Now, we're about to see the top of your lineup, Rachel, for a second time against Keegan Rothrock. What adjustments would you like your hitters to make the second time through?
Well, honestly, they got to put more barrel on the ball and try to hit it hard through. I mean, I thought they did a better job today than they did Friday in terms of just seeing pitches, making her pitch a few more, got some more foul balls, things like that. But now we really need to start getting something to go fair here.
Coach, Florida's ABs have just been tough. What's the message to any pitcher that you're rolling out there in the circle right now?
Well, I was really impressed with what Steph just did. She came in there and was able to get some really big outs with a lot of runners. So I thought that was cool, and that's what you need to do. You've got to be able to command your stuff. You have to be able to spin it. I mean, they're unforgiving. They don't swing out of the zone, and when they do swing, they swing hard. So you have to make sure that you go in, you're game ready, and you can command your stuff.
Rachel, thanks for being with us, and
All
we'll
right.
see you soon.
Thank you.
Rachel Lawson. Always appreciate the SEC coaches hopping on with us during the game. We'll talk to Tim Walton later on in the game. 5-0 Florida, and the composite scored the series. Florida 24, Kentucky 3. It was just 1 year ago, the Wildcats took 2 of 3 from Florida to end the regular season in Lexington. Gators took the SEC tournament game between the two. Kentucky has only ever won 1 series in Gainesville, and the Gators are 13-1 in the last 14 games between these teams here in Gainesville. All-time series 59-17 in favor of Florida, one of the great programs in the country. And they're certainly looking like it again after a down year in 2023. Skylar Wallace retires Riley Smith at a pop-out. Here's Aaron Koffel. Hit by a pitcher first time. Takes strike 1. Seen some wildness from Rothrock today, but first pitch strikes now 9 out of 11.
Remember in that last at bat, Aaron Koffel got down 0-2 and then still found a way to get on base with that hit by pitch that just barely grazed her elbow pad. And Jocelyn Erickson going to go on, speak to Rothrock just a little bit, knowing that Aaron Koffel is going to be the one that you star in this lineup every single time with what she's done in a Kentucky uniform in her career. Also spent the summer with the U.S. national team. Coach Lawson talked about how she's become a big-time leader for this program.
Broke Kentucky's home run record on March 3rd against UNC Wilmington. Broke the RBI record on Wednesday. Abby Cheek was the previous record holder for both. All-American a season ago. Koffel is hit again, and this one looked like it got her on the kneecap. Man, oh man. Actually,
right there, actually, on the side of her shin.
Hopefully that's a little bit of a better area to take the blow. But it didn't look fun.
Both times she got down 0-2 and then 1-2 and has found a way to still get herself to first base. The first hit by pitch was a little bit easier to take than that one, that's for sure.
You'd think there's some kind of a friendly code between Indiana Gatorade Players of the Year. I guess not. Rothrock and Koffel are both from the Hoosier State, and I don't know. Just some Hoosier on Hoosier violence there. Been hit 4 times in the series now, Koffel. And one-on-one out. Allie Hutchins puts a fly ball into left for Otis. First outfield fly out of the game for Kentucky in the second out of the inning. A lot of motioning after the outs for the Florida defenders. Seems like a very complex display of hand signals. Off the end of the bat, Peyton Plotz will pop it up. 3 outs, all in the air this inning. 2 to Wallace. Hit by the orange and blue. 5-0 after 2. Mia Williams batting for the second time. Kevin Brown, Amanda Scarborough, our ESPN2 crew. Great to be with you from Gainesville. One of the great sporting times of the year, the men's and the women's NCAA basketball tournaments. Conference play heating up these first couple of weeks in the softball world. SEC is loaded once again. Tennessee, Texas A&M, and Florida at the top. Williams could not keep this one fair in a similar path to her previous double. Kentucky has brought in Cassie Reisner to play second for Tobias. If you're on the Wildcat bench, you're probably going to get into the game at some point today. Hamilton has played, Nesby has played, Donaldson a pinch runner, now Cassie Reisner.
You know, Kevin, Florida is ranked in the top 10, but when you look at their RPI, which of course factors in strength of schedule, and their RPI is just sitting at 24 coming into this weekend. At non-conference schedules, their strength of schedule with their non-conference games, just mentioned it before, was in the triple digits. But when they continue on in SEC play, they're going to start playing teams that are in the top 20, top 30 RPI, and their RPI is going to continue to be raised too, and their strength of schedule.
Mia Williams down swinging, and it's the 3rd strikeout for Stephanie Schoonover in 4 batters. Now, Florida right now 24 in the RPI, though they're ranked 10th. Stanford is number 1 in the RPI, though they're ranked 8th. Cardinal have really challenged themselves, and Nigeri Kennedy, believe it or not, has been even better than last year. Get back to that in a second. Strike 1 here to Kendra Falby. Oklahoma's won 13 straight after its record-setting winning streak was snapped by Louisiana. The Sooners have not missed a beat.
Yeah, and Virginia Tech has looked really strong, put up big home run numbers. Lindsey Grine and Emma Lemley have done a good job for the Hokies. They're sitting at the top of the ACC at 9-0 right now, and you see it more toward the middle of the ACC standings would be Florida State, who we're used to seeing up at the top, but a different looking pitching staff with the graduation of Catherine Sandercock and given up a lot of runs and had some losses, just trying to figure it out this year with a different feel, different looking team than what we're used to seeing.
Up and into Falby. She is hit, and who hasn't been at this point? That looked like it got Falby on the hand. She is the 3rd Gator to be hit today. Shaking out the left hand, the left wrist. Talking to Charlotte Eccles, a former Gator star over at first.
And I would actually look for her to steal early in this count with the way that Florida's been taking bases. Kendra Falby, and the best base stealers behind Skylar Wallace for the Gators.
She'll stay put on the first pitch to Wallace. Wallace has tied a career high in steals. 2 in the first inning, 1 in the second.
And we asked Coach Walton how Skylar Wallace has improved coming into her senior season, and he went more to the leadership, the intangible side of things in terms of Wallace's game. How she's drastically improved her compassion, her empathy, her ability to relate to her teammates. Done a better job of communicating and being helpful and helping out this young pitching staff, putting her hand on their shoulder, saying, I got your back.
That ball drilled to second. Reasoner, the new second baseman, gets the lead out at second. Wallace is safe at first.
This is when you see the speed for Florida really start to pay off. Of course, Kentucky got the force out at second base for a speedy Falby, who, I mean, that's a pretty close play at second base for how that play rolled out. But it's just Wallace's ability to get down the line. We saw that earlier in this game. We're beat out an infield single.
Wow, so 2 very, very close plays have been overturned in the last couple of innings, both involving Skylar Wallace. Right now, it's a mixed team of experienced hitters and some young hitters. How has your lineup grown over the course of this year?
Yeah, I think that, we've had so many different players have really good games, whether it's rise ball, curve ball, drop ball, change up, in and out, just play into some of our players, to their likeness. We've just been able to adjust. Reagan Walsh is obviously having a great season, and she's been, I commended her on her strikeout. That's something she usually tries to put in play, and we get a double play and some other things. So I think the growth is confidence. I think the players like playing with each other. I think they bought into who they are, and they're trying to be a better version of that.
And Coach, with Keegan Rothrock getting the ball in Game 1 and Game 3 against any SEC opponent, what's your advice for a freshman to go up against the same team twice in a weekend?
Well, I think the one thing that Chelsea's done a good job of, and and the same thing with our whole program, is just want you to be Keegan. You don't have to go out there and be somebody different. Try to be Keegan, locate your pitches, change speeds, eye levels, and be able to field your position and be confident. And I think that's really the key for these young players, is we're not trying to ask them to go out there. I mean, look, Mia Williams is a great example of that. A freshman, she struggled, and then she's starting to come in one day at a time, one hit at a time, and she's really been practicing well. I think this goes for Keegan and Ava the same, and Olivia in the dugout. The freshmen just really do a good job of buying into who they are.
Florida head coach Tim Walton. Tim, we always appreciate
Thank
your time.
Guys. Go Gators.
Tim talking about Chelsea Dobbins, who's the new pitching coach in Florida. 8 years at North Carolina, and pretty fun job to inherit this young pitching staff. Keegan Rothrock and Ava Brown. The 3rd best ERA in the nation as a team. 117 for Florida, which has 17 shutouts out of its 32 games. Looking for another one today. Grace Lorsung will bat, the 5-hitter, against Rothrock.
And we
a
mentioned
strike to start.
Not returning any innings pitched in the circle, but then you throw in the mix as well that you have a new pitching coach. Just a lot of new faces on the Florida roster, with freshmen and also with transfers, and with Francesca Anea and also Chelsea Dobbins.
Up the middle, that's through. There's the first hit for Kentucky since the first inning yesterday. Grace Lorsung with a leadoff single for the Wildcats.
Senior finally coming up and taking advantage of that pitch that was left over the middle of the plate. The height of the pitch wasn't bad, but it just didn't find a corner at all. But the seniors for this Kentucky team still have some time in this series to start to make their name and their spots known. The freshmen have done well. The underclassmen offensively, you mentioned Allie Hutchins and her offensive contributions, but the seniors in this lineup have been very quiet this weekend.
Lauren Borzilleri in the right field. That's caught by Kistler. Will try to double up Lorsung at first. Grace just beats the throw back. So Borzilleri with a sac bunt and a fly out to right.
Wildcats catcher, Carissa Hamilton.
Florida defense just always looking to make that extra out, make that throw to the base runner wandering too far off of the base pass out.
Carissa Hamilton has stayed in the game after pinch hitting in the second. That hit for Larson, by the way, was the first hit in 33 at-bats for Kentucky. Going all the way back to Hutchins' RBI single in the first inning yesterday afternoon. Off the end of the bat, Kistler again for out number 2. And 2 quick outs at that for Keegan Rothrock, who has hits to contact and gotten a lot of early outs today.
And we saw her on Friday night get a lot more swing and misses, and she had 7 strikeouts on the night and just 1 strikeout so far today. And I think that you just see a freshman start to grow up and continue to try to give different looks. I think on paper, maybe it seems easier to pitch game 1 and game 3 of a series against the same team, a ranked team at that, but it's very difficult when these hitters start to have 5, 6, 7 looks off of you within 48 hours.
Vanessa Nesby lays down a bunt that hit the bat. That's foul. Second time through the order. This is the 8th batter Rothrock's faced. She's only thrown 18 pitches to those 8 batters. Remember, she threw 22 in the first inning alone. Nesby lowers her bat path, slap one out of play.
And we mentioned these different times too, where even in game 1, we talked about the freshman after a 30, 35-minute offensive half inning for Florida, then come out and pitch the top half of the inning and look sharp and pitch with the run rule, the 8-run lead, and be able to shut Kentucky down. These little adjustments, these little moments that I think maybe the average fan just doesn't think about, but when you look deeper into the game, it's even more impressive what she's been able to do. Face the same team twice in a weekend, give a different look, find a way to get outs even after a long half inning.
Efficient as the game's gone on, Keegan Rothrock. Through the 5th pitch, actually the 6th to Nesby, 2-2. Vanessa Nesby will be the first Kentucky batter to see a 7th pitch since Riley Smith saw 8 to lead off the game. Wildcats 0 for 8 with a runner on. And Nesby in quite the battle here. Again, they only have 1 hit, but they've had a runner on base every inning. 3 hit batters and a walk. Kentucky has stranded 12 in the series, only scored 3 times. Another 2-2. Nesby puts it in the air. Right center field, down for a hit. Kistler with a little bit of a bobble, and Nesby will get into second base. So a Kentucky rally now. Lorsing to third, Nesby to second with 2 down.
Florida's outfield playing in a pretty big shift toward the left side. Kendra Falby was playing more toward left center field and opened up a very big hole in center field. You see that area, and that's actually Kendra Falby over to the left side of second base, and Nesby able just to bloop one in there in that triangle that formed in the Bermuda Triangle, a form of it at least, in the outfield.
That's a double for Nesby. It's the 78th hit of her career. It's only the 5th extra base hit. Did not start the game. Came on as a pinch hitter in the second. The first extra base hit of the series for Kentucky. Second and third, 2 down. Cassie Reisner, who came into the game defensively for Tobias an inning ago, is going to bat for the first time. And a 2-0 count now to Reisner. Freshman only her 7th at-bat of the year, 2 for 6. The 2 hits are both doubles.
Again, I still am continuing to see Rothrock miss some of these spots. Jocelyn Erickson set up on the outside corner. That pitch was bleeding more back over the plate, but I think it just goes to show you her spin and her movement, how tough she is to hit.
Reisner on the ground to short. Skylar Wallace will end the inning. The first.
Texas A&M as well, who's currently toward the top.
All right, so good non-committed answer by you. Just keeping your options open.
It's still so early. Florida's played 5 SEC games so early in the season. Maybe start to solidify those answers in mid-April.
All right. Florida has, as we mentioned, not played a great non-conference strength of schedule, 127, but the numbers they put up are still insane. They go to Mississippi State next weekend. LSU at Missouri, South Carolina at Georgia and A&M. Those are the SEC series. 2 really interesting ones to end the year. The SEC tournament is in Auburn this year. Ground ball to the left side from Otis. He's retired by Schoonover, who's done well in relief.
And Coach Walton did such a good job in the transfer portal with getting impactful players as well as the freshmen. When you look at some of the top players in terms of WAR, Florida has 5 players in the top 50 ranked nationally. All of them new faces with the exception of Skylar Wallace, who's in the top 5. So wins above replacement. And Valerie Cagle is just, to give you another name, usually a player that's number 1, number 2, because of her impact on all sides of the ball. It takes into consideration defense, pitching, hitting. And so when you have a pitcher hitter like Ava Brown, like Valerie Cagle, they're likely to have a higher WAR number.
Two strikes and Erickson here. To the right side and retired by Reisner. By the way, it is great to see Valerie Cagle just came back a couple of days ago for Clemson, but missed some time recovering from illness. Because she is truly one of the stars in the game for that Clemson program, which has been built up so quickly. 2 down. Strike to Katie Kistler. Stephanie Schoonover, who was really hit hard as a starter yesterday, has done well in relief. Struggled a little bit out of the bullpen in the second. Hit batter, single walk, and then 2 strikeouts and a lineout to strand the bases loaded. Faced the minimum in the third thanks to a double play and is looking for a 1-2-3 fourth. Kentucky pitchers have only had 1 true 1-2-3 inning in the series. That ball looped foul by Kistler.
Our pitches to me have been moving more than what we saw from her yesterday, and been able to go to her more secondary pitch with that curveball. That rise ball that has a bit of screwball action to it as well is definitely her go-to, her primary pitch. But why she's been successful is because she's been able to throw a pitch other than that, try to get swing and misses, outs.
There's another one. Perfect 4th inning for
side of things in terms of how well they've performed this season. Missouri has looked really strong and so difficult to play them in Columbia. I remember playing Missouri whenever I was in the Big 12, having to go there and play against them, and it just is always a tough place to play. And poor LSU, I think they drew the short stick because they had to go to Lexington and also had to go to Columbia, both in the month of March, and not easy to do. And some cold temperatures, windy weather there.
Riley Smith elevates the ball to center field. Kendra Falby's underneath it. Smith is 0 for 3.
And I think another team that is a surprise that you're not seeing, because that we don't put every SEC team in those standings, but Mississippi State is a team that has played some really good ball this season. Top 25 team. Their pitching has looked great, scoring a lot of runs. New pitching coach and Taryn Moet, who came over from Arizona. Remember, she was a pitcher that won a national championship or two at Arizona. And a big addition for them, and Mississippi State looks strong.
And Caulfield against Keegan Rothrock. Mississippi State was picked dead last in the preseason coaches poll. 13 head coaches vote. Mississippi State had 19 points.
Yeah, and you know, one coach had to have had respect for Florida in that SEC coaches poll because despite being picked to finish in the middle, somebody voted for them to win it. They had a first place vote.
Tennessee and Georgia had 6 each. 3-0 swing away. Line drive out off the bat of Caulfield, who figured, I'm going to stop getting free passes. Put a 3-0 in play, hit it hard, but right at Kistler. Florida Gators 8th last year in the league. Picked to finish 7th with, again, that one strange first place vote. It's a fly ball from Hutchins. And a diving catch by Falby. Just had to keep coming. And
pitches per inning. If you are a pitcher, you want to be going for 12 to 15 pitches an inning for an efficient inning. And Florida has seen over 26 per inning in this series.
The third inning 2 days ago, Florida saw 59 pitches against 3 Kentucky pitchers. That was a 9-run inning. There's an off-speed strike to Bailey Goddard, the designated player. Gators came into the weekend second in the country in walks, second in on-base percentage, only behind Oklahoma. Strike 3 called. A couple of called strikes here from Chris Neighbors behind the plate. Schoonover freezes Goddard.
Going back to this curveball, and this is a pitch that's worked well for Schoonover against the right-handed hitters. Right at the knees, catching the corner, getting the call. You can tell she's starting to feel her groove. This has definitely been the innings that she's pitched. One of the highlights of the weekend for Kentucky up to this point. And we just haven't seen them change speeds all that much. That changeup just reminded me of it, that any pitcher who's thrown for Kentucky hasn't changed speeds all too often. Nice changeup there by Schoonover, though.
Up and in for Ava Brown. Stephanie Schoonover erratic as a freshman at a 5.15 ERA. Walked 5 batters per 7, struck out 7. Last year, 3.5 strikeouts per 7, struck out nearly 10 per 7. ERA down to 2.01, but again had an arm injury. Had to come back from late in the year. Full strength in her pitching arm this year. Ball hit in the air to right by Brown. Schoonover with back-to-back 1, 2, 3 innings. Last 3 innings, 8 of the 9 outs have come in the air for Rothrock with 1 ground out. The first 2 innings, Rothrock had 5 of the 6 outs on the ground. Either way, it's been effective. Looking for a second complete game of the weekend. And Klotz fouls away strike 2.
You know, I told Tim Walton this, I believe it was just yesterday. It seemed like a longer ago than that. But I told him Keegan Rothrock and Ava Brown, the 2 freshman pitchers and also hitters for Florida, remind me so much of myself and Megan Gibson at Texas A&M. When I wasn't pitching, then Megan was pitching. We flip-flopped at first base. We both hit for ourselves. We were in the everyday hitting lineup. We were going to be sharing the majority of the innings, and I just can't look at this young pitching staff for Florida not think of ourselves.
Katie Kistler up against the wall, goes crashing into the fence. A fly ball off the bat of Peyton Plotz. Katie Kistler went pretty close to full speed into the padded wall out there. You can see the first person down there is a member of the Kentucky staff Yeah, her face hit the fence.
It's going full speed too, not slowing up at all.
Remember, the training staff is working on Katie Kistler's right leg. Even though it looked like her face hit the chain link fence on top of the padded wall. Katie's on her feet. To an ovation from the Gator crowd. We talked to Tim Walton about Katie Kistler. He said she is an A-plus kid. She lets failure brush off her shoulders. She plays with joy. I want kids that play the game like that.
I've loved watching Katie Kistler, especially in the outfield, and everything that Tim Walton said about her, it's what I noticed myself, and I don't get to see her every day at practice and in every single game that she's played in. Of watching her play, and it's been fun to see her in the outfield her whole career.
Stay in the game, 1-2 for Plotz. That ball belted off the third baseman Reagan Walsh. Peyton Plotz with a leadoff single.
Yeah, so remember that foul ball was deep down the right field line, and then Plotz crushes this ball down the third base line. Gets on Reagan Walsh in a hurry, and that's definitely why they call it the hot corner right there.
Plotz will take a seat for a pinch runner. Her second hit of the series, third time on base. Not much left on the Kentucky bench. Jenna Blanton, who's appeared in every game this year, will come on as a pinch runner.
Pinch running for the Kentucky Wildcats at first base, number 10, Jen Blanton. Batting for Kentucky, number 33, Grace Morrison.
Just had a visit from Chelsea Dobbins, the Florida pitching coach. Talked to Keegan Rothrock during the pinch runner substitution. Back out of it, here's Grace Lorsing. Big power bat for Kentucky. Lorsing has reached base twice today. This is the fifth time she's seeing Rothrock in the series. Big power year for Grace. Came into the weekend fifth in the SEC in doubles, ninth in home runs, 8 doubles, 8 homers, a couple of triples as well. Her second year with Kentucky after transferring from Indiana, another Indiana native. On-base percentage coming into the weekend was the same as last year. Slugging had jumped 232 points, though. Big swing there by Lorsing, 2-2.
And she had 9 home runs last year, and it seemed like her home runs and the extra base hits that she had last season just seemed to come at clutch time. She's been a clutch hitter for Kentucky since she transferred over.
Guess we don't really need to be here. There's enough commentary in the stands for you. 3-2 for Lorsing. That pitch is inside, as the last one was, clearly.
Yes.
So Grace Lorsing has reached base twice via the free pass. She has a hit. She's been on all 3 times. And here come the Wildcats. 2 on, nobody out. Lauren Borzilleri, 1 for 4 in the series. Strike 1. Strike 1 has not been a problem at all for Rothrock today. 19 out of 24 first pitch strikes for the freshman. Borzilleri in the air to right center field. That ball is well struck. It's off the very top of the fence. And there's a little miscommunication now as Borzilleri hustled back to first, and somehow Blanton did not score from second. Borzilleri made it all the way to second. Lorsing was standing there. Nobody was covering first, so Borzilleri hustles back, and Kentucky has the bases loaded.
And Jenna Blanton goes back to tag just in case, I guess, Kendra Falby was going to catch this one in the air. But especially being an outfielder herself, I expected Jenna Blanton to have a better read on that ball and even read Falby and her body language out in center field, noticing that she wasn't. You see Rachel Lawson in the background there.
Second hit with a runner on base, 2 for 11. Some way, somehow, they do not get a run on the play, but the tying run is on deck. Hamilton is the batter, and Hamilton takes a strike. A base running mistake, but credit to Falby, too, for getting that ball in as quickly as she did. Terrific center fielder. 2 strikes now on Hamilton.
We saw Avery Gels enter at first base, and now Ava Brown is warming up in the bullpen. Had a feeling when we saw Avery Gels go to first base, and she is a great first baseman defensively, but had a feeling that that might lead to Ava Brown starting to warm up in the pen.
Hamilton chases strike 3. Just the second swing and miss of the game, and it could not have come in much better of a moment for Rothrock.
Yeah, you saw Rothrock walk back to the circle and kind of look at someone on her defense to be like, okay, thanks, that works. Chase the pitch, a little bit off the plate. Hamilton helped her out. Big strikeout for the freshman.
Vanessa Nesby. All 1 to her, the Kentucky slapper who had a long at-bat and then a double in the 4th. Saw 7 pitches in that at-bat, and Nesby has seen 2 balls here. Kentucky with 3 runs in the 3-game series. 3-0 for Nesby.
You've
Only
got to
walked
take
5 times on the year.
Maybe even take again. I mean, I think that the 3-0 take is a no-brainer, but with the lack of command here by Rothrock, I'd challenge her to throw 2 back over the plate and get back into the count. Really picky here.
3-1. She swings. Strike 2. Did you like the swing given where the pitch was?
Not really, no.
3-0 to 3-2. Rothrock. It's Nesby to pop one into left field. Otis staggers into the catch, and Kentucky gets the first run and nearly runs itself out of the inning. The play was at third, and Lorsing just beat the throw there, so a sac fly for Nesby. The other runners move up, and it's 5-1.
Florida always looking to play ahead. Good communication. Of course, Jocelyn Erickson has such a good arm. Fires it right down to third base. The throw was just on the money. And I think they're, Coach Walton potentially talking with the umpires about challenging it.
Oh,
A couple of different things that you could challenge: the runner leaving early on the fly ball, as well as the tag at third base. That was close.
I wonder if he was appealing that. Umpires say no go. A run is in, and only one at that. As the series finale between the Gators and the Wildcats. Florida with 2 run rule wins. Led 5-0 in the second. Stephanie Scudover has been brilliant in relief. retired 11 of the last 12 Florida batters with a walk in there, and that walk to Kendra Falby was followed by a double play. That's going to be a base runner, though. Mia Williams has hit. Fourth time a Florida batter has been hit in the game. The 7th hit batter of the game between the teams.
It's been seemingly one an inning, right? I mean, that's what we're averaging at this point.
Somebody needs to charge the circle soon. 7 hit batters, full-on brawl. We're not actually advocating for that. But here goes the runner, Williams, and she is safe at second base. Another steal. Florida's 5th stolen base on the afternoon.
Seen so much speed for Florida in this game, and coming into this game, we talked about how they can hit for power. We saw that in game 1 and game 2 with home runs. And we talked about how they have the speed, too. And I feel like that's how we've seen Florida manufacture some runs, as well as all the walks and hit by pitches that they've been able to get on base, too. But 5 stolen bases for Florida in this game alone.
2-1 for Kendra Falby. Falby a ground out to second, a double to left, a run scored. Hit by a pitch. Schoonover pours over, strike 2. You mentioned changing speeds earlier. Kentucky pitchers needed to change speeds better. You feel like Schoonover's been able to do that?
Yeah, I
last
feel like
couple innings?
I feel like she hasn't been predictable with that pitch, and she's mixed it in a little bit here and there. But I just feel like she's been able to hit corners and stay right at the knees a lot better than what we've seen other Kentucky pitchers this weekend, and as well as pitch against her scouting report. Florida hitters this weekend have just looked really prepared for the Kentucky pitchers.
Falby down to third. She is out there, and Williams alertly takes an extra base on the throw from Lorson.
And I think to beat a good offense like Florida, your secondary pitches have to be working, and you also have to be able to change speeds. And Williams able to get in there to third very easily.
Here's Wallace. Here's Wallace into right field. On a line and gone. Meet me out in the street. Skylar Wallace with a low laser to make it 7-1 and wake up the dormant Gator bats.
She only swings at the first pitch 7% of the time. That's it. But when you recognize a pitch like that is a mistake out over the plate, and probably Schoonover knowing the scouting report on Skylar Wallace, I'm going to try to get ahead. I know that she's more patient early in the count. I'm going to try to groove this one more over the plate. And Skylar Wallace takes it deep. What a swing by last year's SEC Player of the Year, her 8th home run this season, making another campaign this year to go back-to-back in that SEC Player of the Year.
Just when you think it's safe to go in the water. The 8th of the season for Skylar, who told Tim Walton before the year, I'd like to hit 30 home runs this year. Tim had to talk her down a little bit. He said, it's pretty tough if you don't want to strike out, right? I had to get her chasing the ghost of expectations, he told us. But 8 home runs to go along with a .626 on base percentage and a slugging that's still over 900. Still pretty darn good. Bunt laid down by Otis after that. Big ball and small ball for Florida. Corby Otis on for the 3rd time with a bunt single.
Just so well-rounded. Think about how we've seen the stolen bases, and we were talking about how up to this inning, it hasn't been a lot of power and home run power at all. And then Skylar Wallace, I guess maybe heard us talking and hit a home run. And then right after that, Otis lays down this beautiful bunt. So tough to defend when you can hit the ball 250 feet and then also get a hit just 3 feet out in front of home plate.
And now the winning run is at the plate. Jocelyn Erickson, who would give Florida a 3rd run rule win with a home run here. She's already knocked in 3. 1-1.
That home run for Skylar Wallace, Kevin, came on the first pitch, which is just very rare. In fact, half of her home runs, so 4 of the 8, have come with 2 strikes. That's how good she is, really, in any count.
Two runs in the inning for Florida. It's the 7th time in 16 offensive innings they've scored 2 or more runs this series. Erickson into center field. Nesby goes back on it. Jocelyn Erickson 2 for 4, and there's the second out. I mean, 7 multi-run innings in the series for Florida. Kentucky has scored 4 runs total. This may not be one of the better Kentucky teams we've seen. It's still a top 25 team. It's still a team that beat Stanford twice, the #1 RPI team in the country. And Florida has absolutely dominated every facet of softball. And at some point, maybe this is the point. Everybody can stop talking about a relatively weak non-conference strength of schedule for Florida, because Tim Walton knew he had a younger team, especially with his pitching staff. And if maybe Florida's national seed suffers for it in a couple of months, that's a trade-off I'm sure he'll be willing to accept, because the numbers have been ridiculous and the confidence appears to be sky high for Florida.
This team just seems to be playing really well together. And even I had their regional last year. They had to travel out to Stanford, to Palo Alto, and face Nigeri Kennedy. They were the 2 seed at the regional. And looking at that lineup and how that team played compared to this lineup this year, just the energy of it seems to be very different.
Kistler with a foul ball caught by Lorsing. So no run rule for Florida today, but she's got to get through the top of the Kentucky order one more time. Smith, Koffel, and Hutchins. Riley Smith 0 for 8 in the series, down 6, tries to get on base with a bunt and lays it foul.
I think Kentucky
There is some power in these Kentucky bats, Amanda, but they have tried to just bunt and slap and find every way to squeeze their way on base against this Florida pitching staff.
I'll be interested to see moving forward how Kentucky uses this leadoff spot. Remember, that was Kayla Kowalik spot for forever, and they've tried to find a different answer in that leadoff spot, as well as back behind the plate. We've seen a couple of different faces this weekend in the series. Big hole to fill there.
Smith to short, clean hop for Wallace, and the first out in the 7th. Riley Smith now 0 for 9 with a walk in the series. She has led off every other inning in this game after the Kentucky 9-hitter Tobias or Reeser's been retired. 0 for 4 leading off the inning. Well, the strange counterbalance to that is the 3 times Kentucky has had somebody else lead off an inning, they've gotten the leadoff hitter on, but Smith is 0 for 4. Aaron Koffel hit by 2 pitches. Koffel hits this pitch into right center field, shows off the power, but not quite enough. On the 99th pitch, Katie Kistler is there. Aaron Koffel is retired, and Florida is on the precipice of another rout of its SEC rival.
What just a dominant performance. I know that we've used that word a couple of times in this broadcast, but I just don't know another word to call what Florida has done this weekend and how sharp they've looked in every aspect of the game.
Now, if this team finishes 7th in the SEC, we will wrestle a live gator. Fouled away by Hutchins.
I'm not committing to that. That's all.
Well, I know Ben McDonald, so I know he knows the best tips and tricks of how to do it.
Yeah, he'll probably have a gator readily available for you to wrestle.
Wrestle, not wrestle. You get it. Florida was inexperienced to a degree coming into the year. Did not bring back a single inning from its pitching staff last year. But maybe the one person who gave the Gators a first place vote knew better than the voters who had them 7th in the SEC. This team is loaded. They are young, but they are fun. They are one strike away from a dominant sweep of Kentucky. Rothrock's 1-2. Fouled away.
They'll play Mississippi State this weekend. That'll be a good series. That series will be Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and that will be in Starkville. We talked about Mississippi State, how they're stronger this year and really good this year. Tough road series for them coming up.
Another 1-2 for Allie Hutchins from Keegan Rothrock. The 104th pitch of the game. Hutchins on the ground to second, and it's kicked by Williams into right field. So an E4, which has been a rare thing to say for Florida over the years, extends the game for Kentucky.
A play that I think Maya Williams is going to make 9.5 times out of 10. Says to Keegan, my bad, freshman, talking to a freshman right there. Remember, there's 7 freshmen on this Florida team, a lot of youth and a lot of SEC experience very quickly.
Peyton Plotz, the Kentucky freshman. Strike 1 to her. Kentucky did not have a hit in the first 3 innings in this game. The Wildcats with just 4 beg your pardon, in the game. They have just 10 hits in the series. Florida with 28. Looking to win an 8th straight game. That's inside for ball 2. We asked Tim Walton about getting back to his program standards. He said it's all about the freshmen who want to get better every practice, every bullpen. One of those freshmen in Rothrock has just thrown her 2nd complete game.